Hello everyone, my name is Jamal Thomas. I am your host. This is the Progressive Soapbox. And of course, this is my lovely wife.
Co-host. For Patreon Contributor Appreciation.
Contributor. And it's hard, right? It's hard to change that over after you've done it for so long.
Mrs. Jamal Thomas.
Or Mrs. Thomas. I'm always a little weirded out by the Mrs. Jamal Thomas thing because it feels like an ownership thing.
Mrs. Jamal Thomas is like how you sound like your wedding thank yous, and like that's what it says like on your.
I don't think it says Mrs. Jamal Thomas.
It does. It says Mr. and Mrs. Jamal Thomas.
No way.
When you do your wedding stuff, it does.
It's ownership. It's the same. It's the same justification.
It's like taking your name.
Well, it's taking your identity. That's worse than taking your name. I shouldn't say your name is your identity. But it's like the same reason women can't walk around with no shirt on. Like, that's such an odd thing to me. They can't walk around without a bra on, and they can't let their breasts hang free.
I do if I want to.
And
no breast.
I'm in this thing of free the nipple. Have you seen guys, like they have these videos where guys a woman will be breastfeeding a guy, would be like, "Miss, can you go somewhere else to do that?" Oh, can you imagine that?
I can't wait to have kids and breastfeed all over the fucking place.
Just everywhere. Just in the park.
Everywhere. Just whip it out, feed the kid, and I dare you to say something.
You don't want me?
No, not you, but like a stranger.
Somebody else?
I dare you to walk up to me and tell me to put my boob up.
I think you could do that less today. But
what?
Definitely
Go crazy on them?
No. This thing of where guys would shush or tell the women not to do that. That just seems like an extraordinary thing to me.
I'm gonna have like a slew of like media. I don't know, like maybe like pictures or something of like women's boobs. You know, like how
where are you putting these pictures?
They're like going to be in my baby bag, so that when people come up to me,
you're keeping pictures of women's breasts in your baby
so
bag?
that when men come up to me and they're like, "Ma'am,
that's not just called
porn. That's inappropriate." It's not going to be naked. It's going to be like swimsuits. And I'm going to be like, "Is this inappropriate? Did you find this inappropriate? How about this, Bob?"
Wait. Were their tits showing?
It's going to be like women that are out in the public that no, not their actual nipple.
Then how is that the same?
And maybe I'll put some porn in there. That's a good point. Maybe I'll put some porn in there.
I mean, if those guys watch porn, but see, they would make the argument, well, this is done in private. I mean, porn is not done in private.
I wasn't talking about that. I'm talking about like swimsuits and.
I get your argument. Your argument is, look,
and technically, if I'm feeding my child, you don't see the
that these women show these breasts all the time, and you're
right. You got a problem with her breasts.
You have no issue with these breasts.
Was this inappropriate? I guess you're missing my point. Is that I'm just.
I get your point. I'm just saying the point doesn't quite hit where they're going. Their thing is. But your point is, well, you're not seeing the nipple anyway. You're not seeing the nipple anyway.
My point is, it's
the
mine.
Kid's mouth is on the nipple.
I'm feeding this child. Get out of my face.
See, my point would be a little slightly different. My point would be, it's a breast. Your mom had them. Half of the population has them. If men can walk out with no shirt on, then it's no reason. And maybe I'll be the one who's making this argument.
That's what I'm saying. Now, since we'll be there, I'll have my... like enraged moment and like show the pictures and be like, "What about this, Bob? Do you like this, Stuart?" And then you can do your more sane presentation.
It's not really a presentation. I just think he's wrong.
Okay.
And it's just making the case we're wrong. Like it's not that I think it's more sane. It's just I think this notion that women can't show their breasts is nonsense.
I feel you do.
I think the premise of it is nonsense. I think the premise of it is men having a certain domination and wanting to keep women chaste, and is doing so in this kind of impersonal way of society itself making a determination by saying, "Oh, it's lewd when women show their nipples, but it's now okay when men do so." I think this is nonsense. It's just a nonsense proposition to me. I am perfectly okay with having a conversation with some random asshole who comes up and says something like that.
You will, because if they do, I'll be like, "Wait a minute, let me get my husband on the phone."
On the phone. I'd hope for the opportunity to be able to do this in a third person way. Like if I'm near somebody
and
the guy does that.
Person.
Yes, that's what I've been waiting for the opportunity.
So what about if they're shushing me?
Oh, don't get me wrong, I would get involved. Clearly.
Okay.
But it's a little different when it's somebody who is like, like those videos where you would see where there's like...
See, Miss T says you can't even see the nipple. She calls it a T because, she's breastfed apparently. But you can't even see the nipple when a mom is breastfeeding, so it's the same.
It takes a moment.
So I'm whipping out those pictures and be like, "What about this, Stuart?"
That's a split second.
No, it's not. I mean, like, plus, also...
Also, if I was a woman, I'd be slow whipping her.
Honestly, like, we're making...
That's what I'd be doing.
God had a plan when you came into the room with the penis. He knew what he was doing. Okay, so I'm saying this and I'm making this argument, but they have these little...
Like, what about
I think it's called like an udder cover. where it's like
udder cover.
Yeah, I don't know, but I've seen
That's
it
not
like
sexist at all.
I've seen it on TV where it's like it's like a blanket for like you cover your baby, you cover yourself and the baby, and it's a blanket that kind of
maybe I'm more of a lefty on this. My point is, why do you have to do that?
No, it's not about having to. It's my personal
thing. I'm wanting to keep yourself covered.
And I'm screwed by society too because I felt like my breasts are sexual.
Yeah.
So I don't,
Well, they are in some contexts.
So, but when my child is eating,
at that point, that's too much. Too much.
I'm curious how women go from, and we're getting all the way just completely off the rails.
I think this is an interesting topic.
But
because we're getting to this thing of a paternalistic society, and that paternalistic society having things that have gone through the generations that have been accepted by the population of the society, men and women, as being normal. And I'm saying they're not normal. They just are cultural artifacts. This notion of women not being able to show their breasts is a cultural artifact. Not being able to breastfeed is a cultural artifact.
I understand all that. I'm curious to know, because Miss T said something about she's a 7-year breastfeed. Has breastfed for 7
right on,
years.
Miss T.
I want to know.
Do this shit in public, yo.
How does it feel for a woman to go from a sexualized nip to?
What do you mean?
A functional, like I'm kind of curious on how that will feel because like
you understand there's no such thing as sexual.
No, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm talking about the feeling of the breast because like right now my breasts feel like a sexual thing, and like if they're touched or something like that, then it's a sexual experience.
You think you'll be turned on by your kid? It's like every time that kid sucks my nipple, I get aroused. For the record,
that is not what I said.
Well, you said how do you go from one to the other? I'm just wondering,
like, and then like too, like so, like if I'm breastfeeding today, and then like I put my kid down for a nap, and then I go to fool around, like how does that
comes up?
Like how does that work?
There's still milk production after that.
No, I understand that, but like if you do like a little rub,
is
it gone? You know what I mean? Like, am I going to be like, oh, no, that's not sexual for me anymore? Like, I'm curious how all that works.
My kid has been breastfeeding, so I'm not interested in sex anymore.
Miss Tree has...
I mean, that's what you're...
That's how you feel?
No, that's what you're asking.
Oh, I was like, wait a minute.
No, that sounds like what you're asking. It's like...
Right, that's what I want to know.
Up to this point, for the last 30-something years, my nips have only been used for sexual gratification. And now... and sometimes to push my shirt up when it gets too hot. And now, it's going to be used for... Garden Gnome,
is that true?
What?
Garden Gnome just said he's lying. I don't believe Garden Gnome. I'm gonna have to look into this. He said, Aisha, women talk about having orgasms when breastfeeding. That's just the way it works. Formula.
That might be true. I mean, why would it? Here's the thing, and I love the fact that Garden Gnome mentioned that. There's an idealized version of the world that doesn't exist. Like, one of the best things that I got from James Baldwin, and it's the most innocuous thing in the world. He said when he started reading other people like Dostoevsky and all this other stuff, he started to realize that the things that he experienced in life that he was ashamed of are just human things. And he's like, why am I ashamed of things that are just human? They're cultural overlays. So in this case, you're like, wait a minute, I've used this nip for sex for 30-something years, and now this kid is going to be feeding on it. Is there, clearly... God had to have made it in some way where there's a partition between the sexual part and the kid feeding part, and Garden Gnome is like, there's no God. He's like, there's no God in this process.
Somebody said they've heard the same thing.
That's fucking hilarious. I would imagine those women are ashamed by that, and they shouldn't be.
Miss Tree says, we're hormonal cocktails. I occasionally wish to wring other moms' necks who deny their babies while shopping sale racks. This Mrs. Moms pissed me off.
Wait, denying their babies? I don't know what that means.
Maybe like to drink, like to feed.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that. I don't know how we got onto this topic.
I think women should be breastfeed by law.
Well, that's...
With the exception of women who can't do it.
Of men who have too much opinion and try to regulate.
I'm not trying to regulate your body.
You just said that I should be forced to breastfeed my child.
Should that kid be forced to drink formula? Even though that formula is worse for that kid?
This is a great segue into the abortion law, anti-abortion law.
But see, the slight difference here is the kid isn't born for Republicans. The kid is born for me. Now, granted, I'm being provocative here, but I'm going to hold this position. Fuck it. I don't know if I necessarily believe this, but I'll defend the position. Should that kid have rights when that kid is born? You have to feed it. You have to take care of it.
I know, but it's not like I'm feeding him bleach.
You don't know that. Well, let's say it this way. Formula does keep the kid alive.
Right, that's what I'm saying. No, it is. I don't believe that it is beneficial, and I think that scientifically in studies
Breast milk is better. Yeah.
Right, that breast milk is better, but that doesn't mean that you're doing harm to your child by giving them formula, in which case a law to force me to breastfeed.
Shouldn't you want
what
to
if
do
I
the
don't
best
want
for your...
that orgasmic possibility?
So you're willing for your kid to get a raw deal because
Like,
you don't want
maybe
them to go some way?
Maybe I feel like I want to keep my breast sexualized.
But how do you know?
I don't know. I'm just giving a
And if you
point.
want to keep your breast sexualized, why have a kid?
Because I want to have a kid. That's a small part. I mean, that's not the end all or be all, like you would say, of having a kid is how
But
they're
if
fed.
they know that formula is worse for that kid, and if they know there are certain qualities of breast milk that A, get the mother closer to the kid in one sense, and is more beneficial for the nutritional, let's say, growth of that child, are you really, because of a fashion statement, want a worse situation for your kid?
No, it's not a fashion statement.
You said, I want my breast sexualized. Okay,
no,
or for sexual gratification.
I'm not right for sexual. I want my body to still feel sexy.
Then why have a kid?
Because I still want to have a kid. You don't breastfeed for the whole 18 years or how 45 years of taking care of that kid.
But that kid does either benefit or to the detriment of
and
that kid for many years on.
Somebody made the point that some people can't breastfeed.
Oh, and I posited that. I said unless they can't. My provocative statement was
I don't want you to force me.
Wait. Women should be forced to breastfeed by law, with exceptions of women that can't. Like if you're putting out battery acid.
Women should be forced to have children with exceptions that it's health risk.
But I don't think that.
But this is
That's
right in the
extreme.
same vein. This is right in the same
It's
vein.
not. And
you want me?
I think you're
You're
missing
forcing something that I have to do with my body.
The other part of that is the kid. You're missing the kid.
You act like I'm going to let him starve.
Breast milk is the best milk.
It is. And I agree. And I plan on I plan on breastfeeding my future possible children.
But why should you force your kid for a lesser scenario? Do you realize breastfed kids are smarter on average, stronger on average, healthier on average?
I know all that.
And you want your kid
and that
to
is
have
why
a
that,
worse scenario.
No, that is why that will be my decision.
But I'm saying
is to breastfeed
you're okay
my child.
With other women.
But Sally decides, for whatever reason that she sits down and concocts in her brain,
right.
I'm not going to feed my child my breast milk.
And
I am going to give my child formula.
And the rest of society has to deal with the fact that Sally did that, meaning the rest of society has to deal with a weaker kid. Not just a weaker kid. It's for, what if, when they're doing research, they find that, on average, kids who are fed, let's say, formula milk, have lower weights, have more illnesses, have a higher probability of, let's say, lower IQ. And you can correlate that in a statistical fashion. Are you telling me that society should be okay with putting kids in a second tier? Because the mom, for whatever reason, maybe she just wants to be sexy, or she doesn't want...
What about kids who go to, like, lesser schools?
Wait. I'm just making this point, but I don't think kids should go to lesser schools. I guess my point is, should that kid get a choice in the matter when that kid can't get a voice? Meaning, should society speak for that kid when that kid can't say what that kid has to say? And society saying, all right, we want you to have kids. If you want to abort that kid, fair point. That's where I'm at. But once that kid is here, you got to do what's in the best interest for that kid. And I'm sorry, those stunts are in the best interest of that kid. Now, you could say, well, what about pumping stations? Moms should be able to sell their breast milk, in which case people could just buy sold breast milk. I'm okay with that. I shut up. But those things should be used in the interest of that kid. What?
Okay.
It's provocative.
Gardner makes a Jay Scott breastfeeder go to jail.
It's a penalty. It's a financial penalty. It's not a jail penalty.
What kind of financial penalty?
That's what lawmakers work out. And by the way, this is the abortion thing, right? It says if you get an abortion, you go to jail. And then people are like, what's the penalty? You're going to put people in jail? And that's where people always get sketchy. It's like, oh, man, I don't know what put doctors or moms in jail.
Miss T says, no teat, no public school entrance, just like vaccines. That might be one way to
Mom's breastfeeding. That way you don't necessarily have to... I'm being provocative with this argument. You realize. But I can hold this argument.
I'm saying I don't like it.
But I can hold it. I can hold it. I can be on stage with it. I mean, it's not that I like it. I don't like this notion of putting moms in jail. But when you're talking about the larger context of society and you start looking and say, okay, is there a statistical correlation with moms who breastfeed, meaning in the outcomes of those kids, versus mom that don't? And if you find that there's a statistical correlation, how do you ignore that? That just means that people who don't breastfeed have a weaker kid. And then you say, okay, well, why aren't they breastfeeding?
To what degree? I mean, my thing would be like, to what degree? And there's no guarantee that
There's no
XYZ
guarantee. I'm
is
just
going
saying
to happen.
statistical.
In which case, that's enough grounds for you to force a woman to do that with her body.
What about the kid? Keep forgetting about the kid.
You act like the kid is going unfed.
I'm not saying that the kid is going unfed. I said the kid get a worse outcome.
So for foods that are determined to be unhealthy for a kid, are you going to put a law on stipulations on
what I would
type
do?
of food?
You know what God King Thomas
maybe
would
vegetables should only be organic for your kids because now the rest of the world has to suffer because you gave him pesticide-ridden.
King Thomas.
How far is this going to go?
I
Starts
acknowledge
with breast milk, and that is with my own body.
I acknowledge
that I have to give to this child.
I tend to be a little bit more hard ass on this stuff because I look at it from the larger outcomes of what does society look like when such things in place. For example, McDonald's. There will be no McDonald's in my world. Now, do I need to outlaw McDonald's? Probably not. But if a person gets food, I don't necessarily want that food to kill them 20 years later. If you find out that the food that people are eating, let's say McDonald's, Burger King, Hardee's, all of these places, they do research and they say, God, man, these things are like cigarettes. Whereas it takes cigarettes 20, 30 years, this is a little bit more, nebulous just because of all of the other stuff that people eat and everything else. But if you find out that, look, in 30 years, the outcomes of people who eat this stuff, higher heart disease, higher cancer, higher, and you can directly, should you get rid of all the McDonald's? Now, my answer would say, well, if you say you're trying to get rid of cigarettes, shouldn't get rid of McDonald's. But that gets a little dubious. Isn't that the same question with this, about the breast milk stuff? If you find out that outcomes are worse with kids who don't have breast milk in comparison to kids that do, would you try to enforce or, let's say, compel? Maybe a law's too strong.
I think
let's say incentivize women to do breast milk.
Probably my biggest issue with this is you're forcing me something to do with my
Well, let's say incentivize. But see, I guess that's where it gets nebulous. Because at the point where you have a kid, it's not just your body. Like, if the mom wants to hang out at a club throughout the course of the week. No, the kid is not getting hurt, but the kid is getting hurt because the kid is missing the motherly attention. There are laws that means you have to take care of your kid. So the government is telling you to some degree that you can't let your kid suffer because that kid is a person at this point. It's a life. The mom, by virtue of having a kid, has to give up some of her rights to take care of the kid. It's not me saying it. She decided to have a kid. Now, it's one thing if the government decided mothers don't have to have kids anymore. Kids are going to be born in government factories and hatcheries, kind of like chickens. Then, at that point, the mom doesn't have to deal with that responsibility. The government handles that, but then it's a question of, well, wait a minute, do you really want the government growing your kid? If not, then it goes back to the mom.
Growing your kid? Okay, can we get back on track?
But this makes it really good. But this is on track. I mean, granted, this gets absurd. The abortion thing gets absurd because the kid is not even born. But my case more so is the kid is here. And in the same way, there's certain things that the mother has to give up in order to take care of the kid. Now,
the mother doesn't have to give that up.
I was ill growing up. Should my mom drop the things that she wants, her aspiration in life, and take care of her sick kid? Or should she go about her own affairs?
That's her choice, what she wants to do. What do you mean?
Is it really her choice? She has a kid.
What do you mean?
The kid is sick.
That's what she has to do.
I'm saying, just by virtue of having the kid, there's certain obligations and responsibilities associated with it.
To feed the child.
Yes. Nutritious.
What I decide to feed my child.
So if you decide to feed your child ho-hos.
There's some people down the street that feeding their babies ho-hos.
And you think those kids are going to turn out good?
No, but that's not my...
That's my point. That's
That's not your decision as government to go in and force the baby to take away the ho-hos and give them carrots.
But maybe it should be. Especially if you're going to come to me later. Wait. Especially if later you're going to come to me and say, why do we have all this crime? Why do we have all these people? Yes, it is. Low IQs and those type of things are related. Like, I guess my point is, why on earth? I mean, you're going to come to me later and be like, God, man, we're crime-ridden. Or, God, man, these people seem to be idiots. So
I'm not coming to you at all.
You will if you get hit in the head by somebody who takes your wallet and you find out later that kid was fed on ho-hos that you've approved. I guess my point is, yes, it matters that those kids eat carrots or spinach or whatever kind of vitamin. It matters that those kids get that juicy milk.
Juicy milk. Come on. I'm clocking out of this conversation. Come on.
I don't know if I had that juicy milk growing up.
I don't know. In which case, we go downstairs and put your mom in jail. Where is Diane?
jail may be too strong. I agree with you. Jail may be too strong. And maybe the way to go about this is incentivize. Is maybe the way to go. Strongly incentivize. I don't want to put people in prison for not feeding their kids breast milk.
I Nuke Wales, thank you for the super chat. We are going to go head on with what the fuck we actually came here to do. I don't even know how we got into this conversation.
Because Mrs. Thomas, because you kept saying Mrs. Thomas, and I was like, God, man, that feels like ownership to me. And we get into this conversation about ownership of bodies and how there's certain societal imprints that goes back like a generation that still is in play. History has no stopping point. There's just no point where it stops.
Okay, so all right, we have about 115 people here. If you're enjoying the shenanigans that have ensued on this channel, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. The thumbs up does encourage more people to join because it makes it more visible within YouTube.
Yes.
But this is the weekly patron appreciation,
Contributor
aka
appreciation.
contributor appreciation, aka we love you show. Thank you for everything.
Yes, that's exactly what that is.
Of course, if you are not aware or if you have forgotten, this show is, of course, live. After the live show, it is going to be taken down and viewable only to patrons. So if you are a patron, please make sure that you log in and check out the entirety of this video. We do have a couple of quick updates before we get in.
Minutes?
Yeah, 21 minutes of
You
BS.
feel real strong about giving those kids ho-hos, don't you?
I feel real strong about deciding what the fuck to do with my own body.
Fuck the kid.
That kid get formula if I decide he's getting formula.
You said ho-hos.
I'm not giving my kid ho-hos.
You said ho-hos. You said if those parents decide to
we
feed
are
those
not going
kids
back.
ho-hos.
We're not going back.
I'm just saying you
All
got
right,
real strong
so-
on that point.
In the same vein of patron appreciation, the show is going to be put up on Patreon platform. So if you are a patron, make sure that you go in and check out the entirety of the video. One new announcement that we do have is that starting today, the patron appreciation / contributor appreciation will be segmented.
Yes.
So these videos, as you can see and as you know, have a tendency to cover many different topics because they are pulled from the patron content. Usually what happens is we just upload the whole 2-hour, 3-hour video and you just have to kind of get in where you fit in and see where your topic is.
And please give us your suggestions, by the way.
Yeah, because we didn't get any. We didn't get any this week.
You know,
But let me finish what I was.
I've said before.
Let me finish what I was saying.
I do a bunch of alien videos
No, we're not. So,
punishing the audience.
So starting today, I'm going to go in and cut them up and put titles on them. So you will see ridiculous breastfeed argument between Mr. and Mrs. Thomas. And then you just click on that one and that's the one that you'll see.
I think that should be something for everybody.
And then we can put that up for everybody.
Because I think that's honestly, I mean, that's the crux of the conversation,
That's
right?
fine.
The woman's body
But
thing.
what I'm saying is every single one of those will have their own individual video that will be uploaded. So it won't be up as quickly because of that. Like it might not go up until this afternoon, depending on how long. Yeah. So just keep that in mind. Also, I want to send a shout out to the gentleman, or we want to send a shout out to the gentleman that sent some support through the mail. I'm not going to put their name out there because we didn't get permission to do that, and we're not sure. You will be getting something as just as a thank you in the mail. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're not aware, you can send anything legal that you would like to send to Jamal through the mail.
Anything in general.
In
I'm
the
not gonna
post office
snitch.
box. Don't put weed in the mail.
Snitches get stitches.
Don't.
You put weed in the mail.
You
Can
a
you?
lot. Oh, I thought you said I put weed in the mail. I was
don't-
like, no.
Don't tell me, because I don't want to get implicated in a crime.
No, there's
But if
nothing
you
to
want to,
tell them, though.
blaze one if you got one and you want to send one in the mail, do you, boo?
I ain't got nothing to
I'm
do
just
with
saying,
what
I ain't
you
got
send
nothing to
in
do with that.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
I will
if
blaze
some-
that and say thank
No,
you.
if
but-
some green stuff come in the mail and you do something and smoke it, you're just an idiot as the person who sent it in the mail.
Shout out to,
No.
there's a few people. Jeff, and there's no way I'm getting everybody, but Jeff Kuntz has been sending me stuff from like viewer number 3. Like he's been doing this for years.
Excuse me.
And I'm not the greatest at always responding to people sending me stuff. So, but that's just because I get a lot in regards to content and people think. But HB, Jeff Kuntz, Cheryl Sanchez, I think if I'm not mistaken, Cheryl is one who sent the book. She sent this awesome video with John Pilger on the rise of China. That is an amazing video. And I was sitting. That was the thing I was sitting there reading this morning. Or listening to this morning. Pilger is an amazing thing. And there was stuff in that video that I didn't know about.
So she sent that to you?
Yeah. I wanted to do that as one of the videos as a patron appreciation today, but I don't think we're going to have time.
We'll see. Especially not after the boob shenanigans.
Yeah.
So, last quick important update. If you have been under a rock for the last 48 hours and did not know, Jamal's sister channel, The Black,
Black
Box,
Box
is now live.
It's live, but if you put that into YouTube search, it will not come up.
That's okay. You're gonna find it.
Yeah, you'll find it.
The video that was posted Saturday at 1 a.m. Jamal and I did together. It's titled "Special Announcement." No one watched it because it was a special announcement. You guys obviously don't care about special announcements for the channel.
Nobody cares about special announcements. I told you nobody
cares
about special announcements.
If you want to see the video, the easiest way to get to it, of course, it's for some reason it's not showing up when you. Oh, it's available now on the Aggressive Soapbox.
Yeah.
So the link in that video is going to take you to the Black Box YouTube page.
If you like it, please consider subscribing.
Yeah. Check it out. Subscribe. The Black Box is a new channel that is going to house any type of analytical shenanigans that come out of his brain that could go from Star Trek to comics, Superman, which the first one is Superman. If UFO you haven't seen it, UFO content.
I know it's a weird mix, anything. Right? That's why I call it the Black Box.
It could be anything.
It could be anything. It's political musings within the context of like comic book universes, if that makes sense. Like, what is the reality that is taking place on the ground in these various environments that these guys created, these authors create? Like, what does it look like in real world terms? Not the propaganda that the artists put out. Like, for example, Star Trek.
No, we're not doing that here.
No, we're not doing it. I'm just making the point that the perspective of Star Trek is given through somebody who loves Star Trek. It would be like if somebody was in the military and they gave this thing about how awesome it was to be in the military. Like, and then you get into the real world terms of these guys are actually blowing shit up and they're killing people. You know what I mean? It's that dichotomy.
All of that kind of.
But real world stuff also. Yeah. Like, the Black Box is not limited to comic book stuff.
Right.
I struggled over that because my thought was, is that gonna mix things up? Like, if you're doing a UFO subject, that's legit. Like, no bullshit in those
like
subjects.
The one about the Navy.
Yeah, right. Like the one about the Navy. You're looking at real world terms of what this means. That's what Black Box is. It's not. It's the stuff that's fictional is clearly fictional, and the stuff that's not, I want to say, it's clearly not. And it's looking for political ramifications for those things. So I like it.
Okay.
So far.
So check it out.
There's one video up, but two more going up that deals with stuff that I've had on this channel.
Yeah, and those are, for the most part, not going to be live, just as a FYI.
Yes.
So we can try to add some cool stuff and graphics and all that good stuff, but
yes.
Maybe occasionally live stuff. But let me get to Super Chats. If you are not aware, I have my phone here because I like to kind of read the comments so that we can use the screen for something else. Lane Wilson, thank you for the Super Chat. Wayne says, Kamala Harris makes kids go to school.
Truancy.
Also, your mom just said you weren't breastfed.
I wasn't breastfed.
Turned out to be fine. I think that's what's wrong with you.
I have kidney failure.
Ooh.
I had knee pain going from the time that I was like 5 years old to the time I was 17 years old. Literally. Medically.
Yeah, Mom, that wasn't a good.
Yeah, that's not a good. I'm not a good example for this.
Yeah.
But this is kind of exactly making my point. This is making my point. I had. I don't
okay,
know
wait.
But going from the time I was a kid to the time
Donald
I was 17.
Smeed. Thank you for the super chat. Donald says, we are continuing on with this breast milk conversation. Okay. What if a woman has super milk in relation to other women, where her milk will turn you into LeBron James with Neil deGrasse Tyson intelligence? Should she be forced to sell her secret sauce?
Yes.
Really?
You can have a better world.
What if you have so then should we take the sperm from like the most successful men of the world and make you sell your sperm? If
it shows that the people will. But see, success is different. Like saying LeBron, in fact, even the LeBron James super milk is a little different. What we count as success is a little bit different than what individuals need to necessarily aspire for. What individuals want is specific to the individual. Once the person is here, then that person kind of make decisions based on what they have at their disposal. So it's a chicken and an egg thing. No, I don't necessarily think the person should be taken. But do I think from the standpoint of if we know that something makes people better versus worse, then maybe. I mean, because we're not talking about making somebody a superhuman being. Like, we're not talking about creating a Michael Jordan. We're just talking about not creating a Forrest Gump. Like, how do we ensure that the kid is healthiest, is less physically or mentally infirmed, with the knowledge that a physically infirmed kid or a kid that is not mentally altogether there hurts the larger society? It's the same argument for the abortion thing. And I know I said it all the way. Forcing women to have a kid creates a society where those kids eventually grow up and terrorize that society because those moms didn't want to have that kid, and that kid grew up in a society that did not want them. Once those kids are born, the Republicans don't want to have anything to do with them. And the Democrats are feckless and utterly useless in ensuring that those kids have a decent living. So let's put this in context. When we're talking about making sure that those kids eat a nutritious foods, it's because we want them to have the best nutrients possible for their bodies and minds to grow. We want them to have the best opportunities that they possibly have. And our society benefits from those kids being able to do that. So if a mom is saying, it's my body, and if I want to feed those kids ho-hos, then yeah, I have no issue with the government saying, it is your body, true, but that kid is a separate entity than you, and you decided to have that kid, and you need to take care of that kid with a certain regimen diet. And guess what? The government will get involved if you were mistreating that kid or weren't feeding that kid or having that kid to be malnourished. The government already gets involved for that.
Formula isn't malnourishment. But we're going to go ahead into the thing.
Formula is not malnourishment. That is true.
Can you pull up my article?
I told you I was being provocative with that argument.
I know. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move on. All right. So
I think you're just disturbed how
many,
heard
what time is it?
Argument.
Can you pull up
it's
the
YouTube?
No. I need to get the timestamp from the YouTube video. So pull up our YouTube video. The one that we're doing right now.
Oh, right here.
Trudy says Jamal down with Freedom Thomas. All right, so
it's 31
all right,
10.
31-10. All right, so Lord have mercy.
I'm holding an argument,
no,
man.
we're moving
I don't
on.
necessarily fully
so the first
agree with this.
Actual topic of today, 31 minutes into the live stream. Hopefully, we've given enough opportunity for anybody that's going to join.